Barrett, Mrs. Barrett, you must obey.
Thanks for speaking to me, and congratulations on the movie. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
We love that. Thank you.
So yeah, it was great, and I've got lots of questions, especially for Jill, because obviously she's not only stars in it, but you came up with the script idea, know, from the word go. I was just speaking to your directors, and they said that the whole script kind of, or the whole film in general, came about because you just kind of bumped into each other on the street, no?
Yeah, I mean, it was complete happenstance. Chris and Travis live literally across the street and one house down from my sister. So I was up from Los Angeles visiting her for the weekend, and my husband and I were out walking our dog, and Travis was, I think, cleaning out his garage or something. And so we bumped into each other on the street and just started talking. And it turned out Travis and I had gone to the same high school and a lot of the same people. And it all felt very much like, this is too weird to meet in this way. Like this must mean we're meant to work together.
So, I mean, can you tell me a little bit how the idea came to you? Because I was speaking to them just now, and they said that it came from quite a personal place. Obviously, I don't want to pry where I'm not supposed to, but I mean, can you share with anything that kind of sparked this idea for the script? Absolutely.
I mean, I started writing the script right as, you know, the Me Too movement was really taking on a lot of place in the social conversation. And I was working on a play in Los Angeles that was Extremities, which is about an attempted rape and how that plays out, and, you know, looks at questions of justice and revenge. And so I started writing from the middle of the script, from the highest intensity points for this couple, without giving anything away on where the story goes, but really working from that place of just how bad it can get and what it is to be a woman in a room that's controlled by men, where men are controlling everything, what you wear, what you say, you know, smile and say thank you, and your sexuality and all of that. So that was definitely a lot of the heart of what I was trying to work with this story.
This weekend's important to me.
Me too.
I had met Chris and Travis, our directors, at Sundance the year previous.
Right.
And when this script came ready to make this film, they called me and said, "Hey, we think this character could be really interesting for you. We want you to meet with Jill." So they orchestrated a meeting, and we met at this theater in Los Angeles, and we just read the script together. And I think at that moment, I saw the complexity of Henry, and I thought he was really interesting. He's not a one-dimensional character. He's someone that has a lot of care, and he's a good guy, but he's gone to a really terribly dark place to get what he wants. And I realized that this is a real challenge. In order to make that believable, you have to make some really high stakes, and you have to work on a lot of emotional needs for this character, which I found very interesting. And I wanted him to be real and believable. So I thought that was a real challenge. And then when I read with Jill, I saw that she was just in this character. She wrote it, she created it, she lived with this character for, you know, all those drafts. So when she reads the script, I'm really reading with her. And it was a real wonderful dynamic. And as soon as we read, I mean, this is a micro budget, you know, film. It's a really low budget. And when we had that meeting, I was like, I have to do this movie. I have to work with Jill, and I have to play this part. So I was 100% in as soon as we had that meeting.
I'm really glad you said it, because I was just speaking with the director as well. Obviously, they said that Jill, that some of the people who came out, I think it was the financiers or the producers, they didn't want an unknown actress. But I'm really glad that you fought to stay in the film, because I was just watching an interview recently that Sylvester Stallone did before he did Rocky, and he was adamant that he was going to be Rocky, and look where he is now. So I'm really glad that you managed to do that. And I also felt that it added something to the story, because it's seeing someone that you've never seen act before really kind of pulls you into the story even more so.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the part for myself to play, so I knew that was something that my heart, my head, everything was just saying, just stick with it. And I know that Chris and Travis, you know, had some tough conversations with some people about that, and I think ultimately had to make some difficult choices about, making the movie in a more independent way in order to let me play the part, which I just deeply, deeply appreciate. And yeah, I mean, this movie holds so many pieces of my heart, and it was such a joy to work with Chris and Travis, and for them to trust me, and for Bart to trust me. I mean, it's no small thing to take a chance and work in a movie with someone who has never played the lead role in a feature film, let alone acted in a feature film. So I am so grateful that everyone involved in this project had that trust in me.
We know everything you did.
Talking about challenges, obviously the themes are very strong topics, very kind of hefty themes to tackle. But at the same time, as from an actor's point of view, it must have been very complicated in terms of the two of you in this house alone with this unknown person giving you kind of orders. That must have been quite complicated in terms of preparing, not just for the actual scenes, no?
Jill and I took this very serious, and we kept ourselves in a pretty emotional state so we could be available for those scenes, which makes the shoot long and laborious, but it also makes it, I think, really interesting. So we didn't joke a lot on set or have light conversation. It was more we really stayed in these characters so that when we were in a situation, we knew how we'd organically react because we had those emotions. And I think we were both really conflicted. Our characters were very conflicted in these scenes. I felt a tremendous conflict, especially knowing what happens in the movie without giving away what happens, but knowing what I know, what Henry's really all about was, but not showing that hand at all was really interesting. So I think that worked well for us.
No, yeah, I agree. No, it's. I mean, that was one of the next question I was going to ask you is that because of the twists and turns that we kind of see later on, it must have been complicated for you to kind of reveal it because it's kind of got these Scream-esque type twists and things that you don't expect. You don't know what's really going on, and I think in Scream 2, the director didn't even give them the end of the script until later on. So I mean, yeah, kudos to you for pulling it off really well.
And I will say, to kudos to Jill for writing a twist like that wasn't just to be a clever twist in a story, but it really affected the character. And so I felt like her plot twist was a gift to my character. So because it layered him and made him so interesting and even more conflicted. So I always tell Jill, and I'll tell her again right now, thank you, Jill. I appreciate that.
Well, what I love so much about seeing Bart play Henry is that, I think Henry, because of where, his character goes, could have been played in such a kind of one note kind of way. And Bart brought so much heart and so much vulnerability to Henry that, I mean, there were scenes that we would shoot together that would just completely break my heart.
Make no mistake, marriage is hard work. What if I told you there was a way to get that spark back?
Jill, writing the script must have been, in a way, kind of a catharsis for you, an exercise in catharsis. But for Bart, I imagine you probably realized a lot of things about yourself and just kind of the male of the species in general, no, from getting yourself into this role, no?
Yeah. I think Jill and I have both been married for a long time. I think that's really helps a tremendous amount because we realize that marriage is complicated and nuanced and there's multivariables and there's really, if you lose track of your relationship or maybe you don't, relationships take work. And if you stop working and you stop doing the things that are the real hard parts of relationships, like making an effort and being humble and being kind and considerate, and like these are the foundations of a healthier relationship. But Henry gets lost in that and his ego is in the way and doesn't allow him to do that. And I could see how people, they want success, they want this marriage they want it to look good, and they want it to, they have these ideals of what it should be instead of just being a good person and being conscious of your partner and being supportive and love. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get lost in that. And I think Henry was off the charts lost in that. And, was it because of his success in his, in his what's going on with his business and his career and where he puts his values and getting lost in all that. I think it was a good reminder for me on what's the bedrock of a healthy relationship.
Yeah, so your wife will have thanked Jill as well for pulling you into the film.
My wife would say, yeah, right.
Brilliant. We're out of time, so thank you much for your time, guys. I wish you the best of luck with the film when it comes out, and I hope to speak to you sometime in the future about another project.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
cheers,
you,
then, Jill
Howard.
and Bart.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye now. Cheers.
There is a way.